Hello everyone. I've got a Kaeser SK19 compressor here that is in need of its annual service, and so this video is designed to describe how I go about that process. A couple of notes before we get started. First of all, I want to let you know that this is the first time I've serviced one of these, and so I'm in no way an expert. Don't work for Kaeser. This is purely for entertainment value, and perhaps you can glean some tips along the way from my mistakes. And secondly, I want to let you know I'm a pastor and a Christian. I'd love it if you took the opportunity to cruise over to that other video that I have on how to become a Christian and take a peek. And with that said, let's get started. Okay, here's a few things I picked up as we began our service. First of all, I have the owner's manual, service manual for the Kaeser compressor, which actually does contain instructions on exactly how to go about the maintenance. And so that's very helpful. Then also I purchased this kit from Kaeser that includes the belts, necessary oil, air filter, pump and oil filters here, and accessories that need to be replaced. And so that's already been purchased. So the next thing I need to do as we get started is to shut off power to the unit. And so up here on this unit there's a breaker, so I've got that off. And then from there we will open up the side panel using the keyway. Let me grab that and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've got the hood lifted on this compressor. There is a key that goes in the top. You twist that to the right and it unlocks it. And let me just give you a quick view of what the inside of the compressor looks like. And so we can already identify a few things. There's the oil filter right here. The belts are down below. And so there's just a quick glance of it. Let me work a little more here and I'll show you the first procedure that we need to do in servicing this compressor. Okay, on the back side of this compressor I have opened the door. There were two similar keyways at the top and bottom using the same key. And then down below, here's the belt assembly here. And here is the part I want to adjust. This is the spring tensioner. Locking nut on the top, adjusting bolt on the bottom or nut on the bottom. So I'm going to loosen this one, adjust this one until the spring loosens, and I'm able to remove these three belts. Pretty straightforward. And then once I get the new belts installed, I'll show you how to readjust this according to the maintenance manual. Okay, I've got the three belts off, and here's what the adjustment looks like. Loosened up enough to get the three belts off. Okay, I've got the belts, new belts installed. Now I'm going to tighten the adjusting nut, which is the bottom one here, right here, until the pin here in this slot, and I know I can't show you too well, do the best I can here. Hopefully you can see the pin right there in that slot is pushed all the way to the bottom of its indicator window. Once that is achieved, I will tighten the upper locking nut here to secure it in place. Okay, so got this indicator back. Let's see. Here we go. Back at its correct place. Belts are installed. Now, after 2 hours of runtime, you'll want to check the tension on these belts again, and then after also, I think it's like 10 hours or maybe 100 hours, and then every 500 hours it should be checked as well. So just a note to myself here, not to just turn this on and think that I shouldn't come back after a period and just confirm that those belts haven't stretched. All right, on to the next step. Okay, the next thing I want to do is replace this old air filter. This is really simple. It's held in by a couple of flathead screws. They're probably thumb loosened, one at the bottom as well. Take those out. There may be some on the side. This one seems to be missing the side ones, but I'll take those out and simply replace this air filter. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to change this filter, but before I deal with the oil in the compressor, I need to relieve any residual pressure. I should mention a couple things. I earlier turned off power. Also, this compressor has been drained. There's no tank with air sitting on it. However, there is still some pressure possibly in this part of the compressor. There is a gauge on the top, which tells me there's 0. But then also there's a relief valve here. You'll want to read the instruction manual on how to relieve that pressure there. What I did was to simply depress the ball joint inside to make sure that there's no residual pressure. Next thing I need to do is replace this oil filter. This is pretty straightforward. It screws off from the top, replaces with a new one. All right, be aware that Kaeser gives you some features on the oil filter that allows you to put a tool in to get it loose, because this was really tight, extremely tight. Okay, before I replace the oil filter here, I actually took it back off. I need to loosen all of those bolts there to remove the oil separator filter. So I'm going to do that next and then proceed on. Okay, I've got the top off. You can see the next thing that comes off is the entire filter assembly here. So gasket next. And then the actual oil separator. And that looks like that's going to take a little force to get out there. So let me work on that and I'll shoot you another video. Okay, got the old one off, both gaskets on top. It was just stuck in there because of the oil suction, so that came right out. Here's the new one. It has 2 gaskets as well. Go up here. And it also has an O-ring that goes around the bottom slot down here. So the O-ring will go down here. And then this piece and this piece, these filters, they actually go behind this piece here, I believe. I think it's this one. It may be the top, but I'm pretty sure it's the bottom one down here. I'll confirm that as soon as I get to it. Okay, and it was that bottom one that I showed you earlier. So just disconnected the hose, unscrewed this, and there is the piece that I need to replace. Okay, got the oil filter back on, got the oil separator put back together, and then that one piece that we looked at with that little filter is back in. So all that is left is to replace the actual oil, and then also to replace the filter, air filter here. So I'm going to do the air filter first because the oil looks a little more complicated. So on this guy, this spins off, and then the air filter, it's actually on the back here. There's a wing nut, it appears. So that's taking that off, and then that should be pretty self-explanatory. Let's see if I can get it off so we can just take a peek at it. Okay, there we go. And so this just comes off and slide the new one on. So that should be pretty straightforward. Let me get that taken care of, and then we'll take a look at how to get the oil replaced. Okay, I've got the oil drained all out. Let me show you what I did to accomplish that. And let me say before I explain that there are definitely some safety issues with servicing a compressor. And so this video, again, is for entertainment value. And if you can glean anything that's helpful, great. But you should definitely have a professional come in and do it. Nonetheless, there's 2 ways to drain the oil out of this system. This whole tank here needs to be pressurized for the oil to escape. So you can, while the compressor is turned off, you can apply pressure here through an external tank, bringing the pressure up to 43 psi, or you can shut off the valve here. There's a swing valve here, and you can cut that off and run this compressor for about 30 to 45 seconds, and it will pressurize that tank as well. And then once the tank is pressurized, you open the valve, and I don't know if I can show you well. There is a valve down there for the oil to escape, and it's routed out through a tube. So you just place a container outside the unit and allow that to drain all the oil out under pressure. Obviously, when you crack that valve, you want to do it very slowly because what's coming out is pressurized oil and air. And so anyway, I've drained out the oil and now just need to put new oil in. The filler plug is on the top up here. It's located right here. So I'm going to loosen that up and add oil to it, and then this compressor should be done. So let me finish that up and we'll see it running hopefully. So I have replaced the oil here. You'll notice there are 2 windows that you can see. The bottom one should have oil in it visibly, and the top one I've just got the level barely up so I can see it, and so that's the correct oil level. I want to make sure that the valve is turned off. Let's see if I can get a shot of that. It's back there. You can barely see it at the very back there. I know that's not a good picture, but at the very back, you want to make sure that is off before you turn the compressor on. I did make the mistake of failing to do that one time, and the compressor will pump all the oil out of the system. Not good. So nonetheless, that's taken care of on the top side. I want to make sure that this valve is now open right there to bleed off the oil separator during runtime. So we should be in good shape and ready to start this machine up. All right, got it all buttoned back together, ready to turn it on. Hey, just want to say thanks for watching. Reminder, I'm a pastor and a Christian. Would love for you to take a look at that other channel on how to become a Christian. Thanks for watching. God bless.